All right, so welcome to part 2 of the PowerDNS tutorials. So now what we're going to do is we are going to install, just like we said in the previous episode or part, we're going to install the front end for PowerDNS. So this is called PowerDNS-Admin, and it is made in Flask with Python. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to, first of all, install a bunch of dependencies. So we're going to go here and we are going to install all of these dependencies. This is going to be in the documentation, of course. You can just go ahead and copy it from here and paste it there and just hit enter. And of course, I have already installed them before, but it is going to install all of these for you. Now, once you have installed these dependencies, you're going to do these two curl commands right here. So curl space -s uppercase L space https colon / deb.nodesource blah 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 blah. And you're going to copy this command, and what this is going to do is this is going to basically download and import the public key from the NodeJS repository and all of that. And you're going to do the same with the yarn package. So in the case of the yarn package, what you're going to do is you're going to do this curl right here, and then you're going to do this echo. So this has basically added both the yarn and the Node.js repositories. After you've done that, you're going to go ahead and do apt get update -y. And once you have updated the lists yet again, you're going to do apt install or apt get install. It's the same. Yarn and Node.js. And you're going to put -y to hit the yes or no prompt. Now this is also going to take quite a bit to install. And you're going to proceed after it finishes to cloning the PowerDNS-Admin repository from GitHub. So, if you don't have Git installed, it should be in the dependencies. Yes, it's here in the dependencies. You're just going to go ahead and do git clone https github.com /PowerDNS-Admin. And just copy the repo link. It's in the documentation. Super simple to follow. So we're going to copy this link, clone the repo onto the var www html pdns directory. And once we finish cloning that repository, we are going to go into that directory. We're going to activate the virtual environment that we are going to create with Flask. And then we're going to install all the requirements that we need. And after that, we are going to set all the environment variables that we need and the config files that we need to basically host the front-end GUI. So it is about to finish. Let's just wait a bit more, and we should be good to go. All right, so it has finished cloning. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into that directory that we just cloned, and we are going to create the virtual environment, the Flask virtual environment. Then after creating it, we are going to activate it. So basically you do virtual env -p python3 flask to create it, and then you do a source of the flask /bin/activate file to activate it. Once we've done this, we are going to install the requirements, and if we are using PostgreSQL, as we are in this tutorial, you're going to do && pip install psycho pg2. So we're going to install those two things. So all the requirements and psycho pg2 to be able to use that database. It is going to take a bit. Now in this case, I have already done this before, so all the files are cached. But for you, it might take a bit to download all the dependencies and build the wheel, etc., etc. So we are going to, after we've finished installing the requirements, go ahead and deactivate the virtual environment. And we are going to, let me do F5. This is all the new docs. We are going to go ahead and do a couple of things here. First, we are going to set our path for the production config file to a variable. So it's going to be prod config. So if we do echo $prod config, it is going to give us this path, which is inside the configs folder in our PowerDNS repository directory. So once we've done that, we are going to go ahead and copy the development config file to the path that we just made for our, or rather selected for our production config. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and replace all the variables that we need to replace, such as the database name, the database user, the password for that user, the port, etc. Now, if you have followed the previous tutorial part, you are going to have those either as variables in your bash shell if you haven't rebooted in the middle, or you're going to have them in the OPT DB credentials, OPT PDNS install DB credentials file. Now, if you have rebooted in the middle, you're going to want to do a source of that file. So PDNS install DB credentials. And if you haven't, then you don't need to really do that. Now, once you've done that, you're going to want to basically replace all these parameters with regular expression commands with sed. Now, if you want to do it manually, you can also perfectly go to prod config, and you can go here and change all the parameters that you need manually, the user, the password, etc. But in this case, we're going to do it with the scripted way that we have documented here. So we're just going to add all of this. And also, if you are using Postgres, you have to do a couple of things. Now, the first thing we want to do is we have to set the port. So we're going to grab this command right here, which is sed insert. After the SQLA database user line, we're going to import. We're going to insert the port line. So if we do that, it is going to do that. Then we are going to comment the SQL Alchemy URI for SQLite, which is the default URI. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. And then we are going to insert our URI for Postgres. So it's basically just a concatenation of all our other variables to have a valid or legitimate database URI for Postgres. So if we go ahead and do a nano of the file right here, we are going to see that, we have there an N, which should not happen. I'm going to fix that in the documentation later, but shouldn't happen to you. So basically, as you can see here, we have SQL Alchemy database URI, and we have the whole PostgreSQL URI. And then if we go up here and check, our user is our correct user, PDNS-Admin, our port 5432, which is the default for Postgres. Our password is the correct one. Our host is obviously localhost because we have it in the same server. And then our database name is PDNS. And then our secret key is our API key. So beware, that has to match with your API key that you have set in the PowerDNS pdns.conf file. So if we go here, you're going to see that it matches with this key. So that is very important. Otherwise, the API is not going to work for you. Now, once we've done all of this, that means we have the production config file set up. We're going to have to compile or build the front-end UI. So we're going to go ahead and go to this directory. If we are not in it, we are already in it, but I'm just going to execute the command anyways because I just copied and pasted it. And then we are going to activate the virtual environment for Flask again. We're going to do the following, which is we are going to export the Flask app variable. So basically, you're grabbing the init.py file from your PowerDNS-Admin application. And then you're going to do a DB upgrade. This is going to basically run a bunch of migrations in your database. And then you're going to do yarn install and install all the dependencies that you need for your Flask build. So in your case, it might take a bit more. In my case, I have already done this before, so it has all the files cached locally. So once your requirements have installed, what you're going to do is you're going to do Flask assets build, and this step is going to take quite a bit. So I'm going to skip over with the power of editing and get back to you in a bit. All right, so now that the build has finished, and yes, it does take quite a bit, so I hope you got yourself a coffee or a tea or something like that. Once that is done, we can go ahead and finally deactivate the virtual environment and start creating our config files for the systemd service, the socket, and our NGINX site. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to copy this onto the following file, which is etc/etc/systemd/system/pdns-admin.service. We're going to go here, and I already had created it before, but you can just paste from the documentation. And then you can do the same for this file, which is the socket file. So if we go here, you just paste those 6 lines, or 9 lines if you consider the white spaces. After doing that, you're going to want to go to your NGINX sites enabled PowerDNS-Admin conf. You're going to want to set up this entire file that we have here on the documentation as well. Now, once we've done all of this, I hit Control-L to clear the console. Once we've done this, we can do a change ownership of the entire directory to pdns and www data. And we can go ahead and do nginx -t and restart nginx. And then once we've done that, we can focus on finally finishing all the socket and service stuff. So we've got a few things left to do. So we're going to go ahead and do echo of this string right here onto /etc/temp files directory /pdns-admin conf. So we're just going to copy and paste that. And then we're going to create the directory run pdns-admin, which in this case already exists because I did this before. And then we're going to do a chown of these 2 directories to pdns as the user owner. Then finally, we're going to do a daemon reload of the systemctl or systemd, and we are going to enable both services. Now, if we do a check and see the system status, we're going to see that they are both up and running. So let's go ahead and open a new window right here and do HTTP and your address for your new DNS server. You're going to be greeted by the login screen, but obviously since this is a new system, we don't have any accounts created. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an account, and we're going to put, here I'm going to put my name, and my email, and then I'm going to put an easy password. And then I'm going to go ahead and complete the CAPTCHA and hit register and get an internal server error. Because, let's see what happened. Okay. So don't put don't put accents in your user. So let's go ahead and redo that. And you do have to put the CAPTCHA properly as well. So we're going to do that again. 396 register, and there we go. And now if we log in, we are going to be greeted by the default login screen or home screen of the PowerDNS-Admin. Now you are going to have to go ahead and set up these API, the API URL. So what we're going to do is we're going to do HTTP colon / 127.0.0.1 port 8081 /. I'm Dylan from the future, and I am editing this video, and I just realized that if you're doing this and it doesn't work for you, then it's probably because I forgot to mention in the video that you have to both go to your PowerDNS config file and set API to yes, API key to your PowerDNS API key, and then you need to go ahead and actually enable Webserver, set it to yes in your same pdns.conf file, and set Webserver allow to your local area network as well if it still doesn't work. I think it should only be necessary to just enable the Webserver, but those are some things you can try. If you can't get it to work, you can always comment, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Or without the slash, actually. And then we're going to go here and copy our PDNS API key. So we're going to grab this right here, copy, paste, save. And now if we go to dashboard, we should see that we have, well, no entries here, but let's go ahead and create a test.com domain, something like this, no template. We create the domain, and if we go in here, and for example, we add a record of, let's say, root. It's an A type, and we're going to make it 10.10.10.24. So it's going to reply that test.com is the same IP address. Now, this is obviously not real because we don't have that domain, but it's just for testing purposes. So we go ahead and apply the changes, apply changes successfully. And what we're going to do now is just to test it, we're going to go here to our WSL, and we're going to do dig test.com at 10.10.10.24. And you'll see that, voila, it answers with our new A record that we have created. So this is really amazing. It's an awesome tool, really beautiful. You can create domain templates. So here, as you can see, you got, well, these templates are empty. Ironically, it comes with empty templates, but ignoring that, you can go ahead and create templates for your domain zones and really easily go ahead and create new zones super quickly based on a structure that you have, or if you want to have email SPF records in all your zones or predefined stuff. It's really, really cool. Now, I'll be covering the front end a bit better in the next video, but I hope this was useful for you, and I hope that you get to use PowerDNS and check it out. And yeah, so have a great day, and I hope this was useful for you.